I'm ready.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Sunday night training. Super excited to have everybody on, especially the new people that we have that just joined the business. We've got two awesome people before me. We've got Stu Brody and Judy that will be taking care of you for the next 15-20 minutes. And then I will wrap it up with the new promo that just got kicked off by corporate. So with that, I will turn it over to Stewie and Judy.
All right, Sean, gonna rock the rocket tonight. I just wanted to thank everybody for joining us, and I want to welcome you. A couple things. I just wanted to do a little house cleaning real quick. I wanted to thank both Marie and Sean because they've been doing this for almost 3 years now, putting together this Sunday training. I know that Maria mostly does the schedule, so if you have the motivation to do one of these, you might want to get in touch with her. But I'm very, very appreciative. It takes a community. It lifts all boats, right? I mean, we're really rocking. So, what we're going to be Judy and I got to talking about what we were going to actually cover, and this started out 3 years ago, where they're going to take the different segments of the blueprint and cover that. And Judy and I kind of tried to think outside the box a little bit, and what we decided to do was maybe talk a little bit about the blueprint, but we're going to give you a 30,000-foot view. And so with that, Judy, I'm going to turn it over to you. You can get it kicked off, and then Judy and I are going to play back and forth. We're going to find out how well we play. So go ahead, Judy.
All right. Well, thanks, Stu. And I'm really excited, and I appreciate the opportunity to get to speak to everybody tonight. And it is an exciting time. I mean, wow. I mean, this promo that we just got is awesome. And ironically, or maybe not so, I mean, no coincidences, what we were talking about this week really plays right into it, because one of the things that Stu and I were saying was, what could we possibly train on that hasn't been covered? There's such great training out there. I mean, like these Saturday trainings like yesterday, they're awesome. And we've got other, great webinars every week and every day, thanks to Maria. So we didn't really feel like we wanted to just replow ground. We really wanted to do something different. So we got to talking about what could we help with the most, and that is just this whole idea of proper mindset. So Stu, what were you were talking about some things from your standpoint, what you think is proper mindset.
Yeah, so I believe the first thing you've got to do is you really got to feel worthy of the opportunity and the possibilities of what lies in the future for you. I remember Judy and I were sitting in a program like maybe 25 years ago, and we were both taking notes feverishly. I mean, unbelievable. So we've been where you are. And all I can tell you is that I kind of thought, I heard the information like you will tonight, and I thought, can it be this simple? Now, I'm not saying it's easy, okay? There's a difference between easy and simple, but could it be this simple? And we're gonna give you the ingredients and make it really, really simple for you and dumb it up for you, okay? But one thing is you've gotta believe you're worthy, okay? That's the very first thing. You've gotta set the proper intentions along with the expectations, what you're expecting out of this. And along with that, setting down really, really firm goals. And we'll get into some of those things in just a minute. You've got to anticipate a positive outcome. You don't want to be thinking in negative terms when you make a phone call or you do an invite. So it's all about a positive outcome. And so I'll just say that, go ahead, Judy. I think it's your turn.
I mean, what we started talking about, and again, understand that Stu and I have been kind of batting this back and forth all week. And we actually kind of started talking about where dreams start. And dreams pretty much, I think for all of us, start when we're little kids. And we started talking to each other about, what did you want to be when you were 7? And I think I said, like, I wanted to be a marine biologist, which didn't work out too well since I lived in the middle of Kansas at the time. But Stu, you said that you wanted to be a fireman, right?
Yeah, I wanted to be a fireman, and I really didn't know where I wanted to go or what I wanted to do at 7. I don't even know if I was conscious at 7. But, whenever I saw a fire truck go down the street, I thought that was really, really cool. So, what turned out was that my dad died when I was 14, and a guy picked me up by my bootstraps. I was really having some emotional challenges at the time. I was 14 years old. My dad was 44. And this guy was a cop, and he picked me up by my bootstraps and got me squared away. And I'm even today forever grateful to him. And so he was my role model. And that's what I ended up doing, is instead of becoming a fireman, I became a cop. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think even with me, I mean, both of us kind of started talking about things that we've done. I mean, we've both had an eclectic background. You know, I always kind of joke that my background looks like I was in witness protection, and Stu had a not quite as varied, but a varied eclectic career. And I think both of us, the common denominators, we always wanted to help people. And that came about playing in network marketing. You know, you could be part of something bigger than yourself. You could help other people achieve their dreams and not just yourself. So I think the whole idea is that we never dreamed small as kids. And then we were kind of philosophizing about what makes people stop dreaming. And part of it is just, you know, life. I mean, you grow up, you go to school, you fall in love, you get married, you get a job, you get in debt. And, you know, it's good, the love, the marriage, the family, but then it becomes responsibility. And all of a sudden we're in this 40-year plan that really becomes like 40 years indentured servitude. And the only thing different is that we've set the price for what we're willing to sell our time for and our life for. And then later, you know, we get into our 40s, and then we're kind of chasing this carrot of maybe retirement, which, you know, I mean, the whole thing is kind of so screwed up, because while we're working in a linear job, we can't make more than 25% of what we're worth. I mean, that's just business. They have to be able to, the companies have to make the money to turn on the lights. And then when we retire, we think we're going to retire, you can't, you know, most of us can't retire on 40% of what we couldn't make do with in our careers. So a lot of people don't get to retire. I mean, I think, what is it, Stu? Something like 95% of the people that hit 65 are either dead or dead broke. Isn't that right?
Yep, that's correct. And, you know, you're either going to be building your dreams or you're going to be building somebody else's dreams. And I'll tell you that, I mean, I've been in linear marketing, and I mean, you work an hour, you get paid an hour, you don't work, you don't get paid. And if, God forbid, something serious happens to you, or, you know, an accident, whatever, and you can't work at all, now we have some serious problems. So, you know, if you want to be different, and you already said yes, and that's why you're here tonight. You don't want to do what the 95% of the people doing. You want to do what the 5% of the people are doing. So you don't want to use their vocabulary, the 95%. You don't want to use their excuses, the 95%. And you don't want to use their neglect. Just don't make excuses, okay? And so.
Well, and I think what we're just talking about, why some people don't reclaim their freedom. I mean, maybe they never were free to begin with. If you think about it, when in school, we're not taught entrepreneurship. We're not even really taught about leverage. We're taught that the way you do things is linear. You trade your time and production for money. I mean, even with school, you trade your time to get a degree, and you trade your time for a paycheck. So, you know, most people don't reclaim their freedom. They kind of get in that tender trap, and then they say, I don't have time, no money, I'm not confident, I don't have skills, I have no support. You know, I mean, that whole thing, it's like, it's why they don't. And maybe you hear this sometimes with people when you're even prospecting them, or maybe you even hear this from people, you know, even on your teams, like why they don't really run with this opportunity. But we want to talk to you about when you can flip the switch. I mean, we talk about that with LifeVantage, flip the switch. How do you flip the switch and say, I can handle this, I can do something? I mean, the bottom line is freedom is so amazing. I mean, if you knew the kind of life we live, the value of it, you would say, why are people not willing to pay the price? So,
Yeah,
Stu,
so I mean,
this is yours.
Yeah, the common law, you know, the common law of balance or business balance, you know, prohibits people from paying a little and getting a lot. It just can't be done. So there is a price to pay. And we talk about, you know, the short-term imbalance for long-term balance and things like that. But there is going to be a little bit of discomfort. And I think a lot of reasons the people, one reason specific that I can think about that people don't actually engage is, number one, they've got all these responsibilities, all these pressures. They take their, they get their kids ready for school in the morning. They drop them off at school. They go to work. They're stressed out. They pick them up. They bring them home. They fix dinner, and boom, the day is over and they're exhausted. So no time, no money, just like Judy said, right?
I think people get lulled into the idea that that's normal.
That's normal.
And until you get a why that's bigger than the fear of breaking out of that, until you see a value that outweighs the pain of living that existence,
right?
You just can't understand this. It's hard to make that switch and say, okay, I'm willing to make some changes.
It's short-term, it's really short-term pain for long-term gain. And I'll just tell you real quick what really turned me on to network marketing, and this is going back over 30 years ago, is I heard a story. And that story was about a guy that just kind of made this challenge on an audio cassette tape of all things and said, if I was to put you on a bus, drive you out to an Arabian horse ranch, and you're going to shovel manure in the stench and the heat for 10 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I'm going to pay you $400 the first month, $700 the second, $1,000 the third, and the fourth month I'm going to pay you $15,000 a month for the rest of your life. Would you get on the bus? I'll ask you, would you get on the bus? I said resoundingly, yes, I'd get on the bus. And that's when I started putting the pieces together and understanding the whole idea of leverage. So rather than me alone, you start out me alone, you alone, but eventually you bring one or two people in and it just kind of grows. And I can tell you right now, I mean, when Sean comes back on, or, or Maria or anybody or Judy, never in my wildest dreams did I think this, I couldn't visualize this and what happens. So as we grew our group, my vision and the future became much larger with the possibilities.
Well, and I think, don't you think, Stu, your why, your
Sure.
goals continue to evolve?
Absolutely.
Because your vision it's kind of like you're nearsighted,
Right.
and all of a sudden you can see.
Right.
So
And one thing about that, Judy, is I'll just mention is that one of the beauties of this business is that, you serve, you teach, you travel, you make friends. There's so many ancillary benefits that we could talk about, but I'm telling you, it is absolutely worth the pain for the gain that you get. And I know that anybody that's a Pro 5 or a Pro 6 or higher probably feels that and can see that for sure.
yeah, I mean, it's not just the money. I mean, the money is great, and it certainly needs you to have, the time and the lifestyle that, most people would only dream about. I mean, the Jeep, the trips, but I mean, really bigger is knowing that you've had the impact on other people's lives, to give them opportunity, to give them freedom. And that really becomes the bigger thing. And back to what we were originally talking about, the opportunity to impact others' lives, the opportunity to be involved with something bigger than yourself. And I would even go further than that and say the products that we work with. This isn't soap on a rope. These are things that are impacting people's lives for the better. And we're part of something, big that wouldn't be on the market today if it wasn't for people taking it over into network marketing. So just kind of wrapping this up, what steps could you, if you're like listening tonight and you say, okay, I got it, I'm in. What steps can I make to move forward and live the life imagined? Well, the first thing I would tell you is you got to acknowledge whatever is the barrier that's keeping you from accomplishing something. I mean, if you've been in the business for a while, you have to kind of step back and say, if I continue to do what I've always done, I'm always going to get what I've always gotten. What's keeping me from advancing?
Yeah.
And Stu, I think, you wanted to talk about that.
Yeah, I want to talk about a couple of things. Number one is that we all have, you know, these barriers that we have to overcome. And I just think, and I highly respect, I mean, there's so many people that have such great stories, but a couple stories that just come to mind is like Amber Swanson. Amber Swanson, people donated goods to her, and she had a garage sale. She had several garage sales until she saved up enough money. She was a single parent until she saved up enough money to buy the package at the time. Now, Amber Swanson today is a Pro 7. She's an elite Pro 7. And you ask her what her life is like. I can tell you what it's like. Some people make excuses because they live in small towns. Well, let me tell you about an elite Pro 9 by the name of Sherry Gillespie. Sherry Gillespie lived in a town of Sisters, Oregon, with only about 2,000 people in the population. She didn't make any excuses. She became an elite Pro 9. So there really are no excuses. I like to say excuses are like noses. You know, they all smell. You've just got to change your mindset. That's really, really the key. And get knock down those barriers, no excuses, and just move forward, even if it's a slower pace than what you'd like.
Yeah, and there's always some way you can impact or improve it. You might not be able to change it. I mean, Sherry didn't want to leave Sisters, you know, so she's not leaving there, but how can I improve it? And she used the phone and she used internet and so forth. And, you know, there's all kinds of techniques for that. You know, you just got to figure it out. And then once you do that, you find your guide and you surrender with humility to coaching. And this is where I say I'm the poster child here, because for 15 months, you know, Stu and I were in network marketing together back in the early 90s. And then late 90s, I kind of retired. He tried to get me back in for 12 years. I said no. And then he finally gets me back in with this, and I'm really excited about it. But I was adamant that I was going to do it my way. And Stu was trying very nicely to coach me, but I wasted 15 months trying to reinvent the wheel, thinking that I was smarter, you know. And
Judy was creating all the collateral material for the company, and she was making new PowerPoints every week. But Judy, love her, boy. You know, Judy, what happened? What happened, Judy?
Well, so, I mean, but it has to, you know, you have to be at 12 o'clock, right? And finally I'm at 12 o'clock, and I called Stu one day, and I'm just frustrated. And he said, you're going to have to decide if you want to be the smartest person in the room or the most successful. And I said, I want to be the most successful. And he said, okay, take a piece of paper, fold it in half, and write shut up on one side.
Now, I can do that because Judy and I are really, really good friends, but I wouldn't ordinarily tell somebody to shut up. My mom always said that's not nice to say.
But we're close friends.
We're close friends. So, you know, I wanted Judy to become successful. And I mean, I gave her hints all along the way, but it just wasn't working. So Judy is a, you know, a genius. And
no, I'm not genius, but I mean, here's the deal.
But
sometimes you just have to
surrender.
You just have to get somebody's attention. And for me, Stu had tried everything nice with me, and it wasn't getting through. And so he got through to me. But here's the bottom line. Here's the punchline to that. I was rewarded because I took his words to heart. And within 5 months, we were elite. We more than tripled our check within 5 months. And what really hit us was we had wasted time. Literally, we probably lost or failed, not lost, but we failed to make $60,000 or $75,000 minimum because of the time we wasted. So
that's called reinventing the wheel. And
yeah,
I just
don't do it
real quick. While we're on the subject, one of the things you want to do is have a big database, have a lot of people on it, and add to it all the time. Because, you know, if you just have like 5 people on your database or in your database, you call one and they say no, you've lost 20% of your database. You lost 20% of your prospects. So make sure that you have a big database and you keep adding to it. Really, really critical.
And if you're in that boat, you know, if 20% is out, you're pretty well saying nobody's interested.
So here's the big thing right now that Judy's going to tell you, and this is really critical, and anybody that's a Pro 7 or higher or whatever has followed this. So you can follow any guru you want. You can go to as many trainings as you want. I mean, personal development is great. It's great to have the camaraderie and togetherness. And, you know, people on the same page, people that are thinking together, you know, but the key is again, what is it, Judy?
It's the blueprint. It's what every
Absolutely.
elite has used. I mean, they've used other things too. You know, I got taught how to do business plans, and my mentor used to say, never confuse the mission and the strategies and the techniques. You know, the mission is what you're in business to do. Everything else is kind of collateral. And I was doing that. I mean, when Stu finally got through to me, what he finally helped me see was I was in love with my techniques rather than the mission. And so, you know,
Duplicable. It's got to be duplicable.
exactly.
You know?
You can't make things more difficult or more expensive or more analytical or more confusing than it has to be. And, you know, even like with a website, I've had people say, you know, spend money and time building websites or something. I'm just like, we've got a free website that most people couldn't even afford to have the kind of website we've got. We've got this wonderful training. We've got the social media marketing playbook. You know, we've got these wonderful trainings and websites every week. And, you know, again, guys, we're just kind of beating the dead horse here, but I mean, you got to follow the plan. You got to be committed, consistent, coachable. You got to, everything you do, even from the very first time you talk to somebody, you're training them. Mm-hmm. So be sure you're setting it up. And look.
No time, no money. You know,
exactly.
No life is hard.
That's all hard, and building the business is hard, but you just have to choose which hard you want, you know, right? And also, you know, just like with me, I wasted, you know, time. Mm-hmm. And no amount of wishing ever brings your days back. Amen. You know, don't say, okay, well, I'll try it. Look, the blueprint is called the blueprint because it works. It's the proper plan. And there is no do or do not. It's just try. So in wrapping up, looking to your future, if you say, look, yeah, I'm ready. You know, I really want to do this. 5-year goals. Stu, what do you always tell people?
Yeah, 2 a day, every day. You know, make it simple and make sure you get that invite down. And the only way you're going to get it right is to keep doing it until you're right, until it's right.
Well,
and the ratios will improve.
Look back at 5 years ago.
Yeah. And yeah, look back 5 years ago. Is your life better today? About the same or worse? You know, and what does the next 5 years look like? Probably about the same, unless you make some decisions and some change.
And then decide if what you're doing right now is going to get you there. You know, if it is, awesome, you know, stick with it. But if it's not, think to yourself, what has to change? And Jim Rohn would say, you know, probably, and this is me. I mean, I can say this because it was me, man. It wasn't the system. It wasn't the company. It wasn't my sponsor. It was me. And for things to change for me, I had to change. So, you know, you're the best adventure. You know, back to the idea of the adventure, you just got to believe. I mean, the miracle is you, just like it is with Protandim. I mean, Protandim activates our cells if we take it. LifeVantage's opportunity, it works for everybody if you just believe in the plan and work it. And, you know, activation awaits. And I had to throw this in because this is from one of the early years. Right, Stu?
Yep, it was.
We did
freedom. I mean, let's, you know, you never want to give it up. And I mean, that was the whole theme of the training that I did.
Yeah.
Judy and I actually did after an elite academy or a
out in Anaheim. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, so I promised everybody to see a skirt, and this is the last thing before we turn it over to Sean.
There we go.
There's Stu in a skirt.
That was all sweaty after a training, kind of tired and all wrinkled and messed up, but
he did a great
fun. You got to have fun, you know, as well. So, hey, look, we're going to turn it over to Sean and Sean Elite Pro 9. I mean, what can I say about Sean Poe? But Sean, you might just want to say real quick, did you ever expect to be in that great big house where you're at in Arizona and have the kind of financial security that you have today? Did you ever think that was possible?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, you two just knocked it out of the park. I love that. And, you know, one of the things that I first remember from me coming on board of LifeVantage was being at church, and this is maybe a day or two after we
Oh no.
And Michelle is like, you've got to talk to this guy named Stu. He has like an hour available and I'm not going to be home. So you have to talk to him. And I was like, I don't want to talk to some dude I don't know for an hour. And it ended up being a monumental experience for me in my life, because Stu's background really, really connected with mine. His experiences, his desires, his wants, what he had achieved. He came from backgrounds that were very similar to Michelle and I, and I'll never, ever forget that. And you actually told me that story about I think it was a cassette tape that you had listened to at the time about having to go to that horse ranch. And in the back of my mind, I'll never forget that. And you also told me on that conversation, you said, at the beginning, it'll seem like you're drastically underpaid for the amount of effort that you put in, but eventually there's this tipping point that's going to happen where you're going to be so drastically overpaid for what you do, you wouldn't believe me if I told you. And in the back of my head, immediately I was like, I can do anything long enough to get where I want to get. I just need the roadmap how to get there. And so 9 years in, Stu, I'm telling you, that still resonates inside of my head every time I think about LifeVantage and that initial conversation that we had. And the reality is, fast forwarding to 2020, my life in 2011 was completely different than this. We had had success in the business world. We had had success in the corporate world, but what we didn't have was what was available to us by building this sort of business. And
like what, Sean? What?
Well, the biggest thing is watching my kids grow up.
Yes.
Steve. That's the number one thing that we have that I didn't have.
Freedom.
Citigroup didn't care what my schedule was. They didn't care what my kids were doing or what my wife had planned. If they needed me in Philadelphia on Tuesday, I needed to be in Philadelphia.
Amen.
And living in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, you don't get anywhere quick or easy. So it'd be a day of travel to get there. I might show up at the courthouse at 8 a.m. and we might be done by 8:15 a.m., but then I still needed to get back from Philadelphia to my house. And so sometimes it was 3 days of being gone for 15, 20 minutes of work. And that was my reality. And, the higher I climbed up that corporate ladder, the thing that I didn't get was time freedom. I got the exact opposite. They took more time away from me because they expected more contribution to the company. Yep. So I wasn't expecting to talk about any of this, but I want you guys to understand, those of you that are listening, it's exactly like what Judy ended with, is that if you want things to change, you've got to put things in place now for things to change in the future. So that'd be the number one thing that I'd take away. And I love the advice that Stu gave you, Judy, when he said, do you want to be the smartest person in the room or the most successful? And I was there at the beginning too. I wanted to reinvent a lot of things and do things a little bit different, what we thought was a little bit better. But our business took off really when we got rid of the ego and said, Stu's been doing this for 20 plus years. Carrie's been doing it almost as long. Let's just sit back and see what these leaders have already proven to be successful and follow the same thing. Because I'll tell you, it doesn't matter what business you're doing. If somebody else has already proven something to be successful, you can have the same success by just plugging in and doing what they did. And if you want it to go faster, just do it quicker and don't learn from their mistakes, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah.
If you want to have extraordinary success, find somebody that has gone through the growing pains and the curve that you don't want to have to go through, and you'll achieve things faster than them. When we started with this, Judy, I know for a fact, Stu, I know for a fact, we built our business pretty much $40 at a time. It was bottle after bottle after bottle of Protandim NRF2, and the average order might have been, if we went through our back offices 8 years ago, probably average order $50, right? Right now, we know that the average customer order is over $80, between 80 and 90, and the average distributor order is around $120. So you guys have the opportunity to build it 2 to 3 times faster just off of those statistics.
Yeah.
So that was a little deviation from what we planned, but I'm super excited for you guys to understand what the corporate team just launched, because we've never seen anything like this. There's more money on the table right now for somebody that wants to rank advance quick within the next 60, 90 days, and to help your team rank advance as well. This is a business that success is directly tied to helping other people have success. So let's get into that real quick. I'm going to share my screen so that you can see the corporate slide deck that we got 2 days ago. And this is what you need to live by for the next 60 to 90 days. And they're calling this Flip the Business Switch, the May and June promotion. And it has 3 different areas where you can earn money. The first is reach, the second is return, the third is mentor. And there's a lot of this training out there. I'm gonna go through it quick, but what I would advise you to do within the next 24 hours is figure out what you need to do to get where you want to get within the next 60, 90 days to take advantage of this. Work with your upline, work with your team to help strategize and roadmap this. But here's what the concept is the reach bonus. This is reaching a new rank that you've never hit before in your business in May or June, and you're going to receive a one-time reach bonus. And then as long as you maintain that rank the following month or higher, you're going to receive the maintenance award. So here, Pro 3 through 6 are the ranks that you can reach for the first time in May or June, where you're going to get these bonuses. Pro 3, you're going to see 2 different numbers. The only difference there is if you're within your first 90 days of the business and still eligible for the Paysetter Pro 3 payout, you would be eligible for that $350. If you're outside of the first 90 days of your business, you'll be looking at $250 additional on top of everything else that we get paid on for reaching the rank of Pro 3. So if you look back, those that would be eligible still for Paysetter Pro 3 would be anybody that signed on or after February 2nd, because you would have had all of March, April, and now May to qualify for Paysetter Pro 3. And then look at these other bonuses, you guys. Pro 4. Hitting Pro 4 for the first time is going to earn you an extra $500. Maintain it the month after, and you're going to get an additional $500. So $1,000 up for grabs right there. Those of you that can hit Pro 5, $1,000. Hit it again the next month, an additional $1,000. And then Pro 6, $2,500, you guys. $2,500 for hitting Pro 6, and then maintaining it's going to be an additional $2,500. So realistically, if somebody knocked it out of the park and they went from Pro 3 to Pro 6 within the next 2 calendar months, they have the potential right here, just on this part of it, to earn over $8,500 or right at $8,500. That's crazy. So if you want something to happen magically in your business, you're going to have to put in the energy and work necessary to achieve it, but it's possible. We've seen it happen several times over the course of our LifeVantage careers. Now, return to bonus. This is for anybody that is not currently at their highest paid as rank. So let's say somebody hit Pro 6 at some point in their LifeVantage career, but then in the months of January, February, March, and April, they're not at their highest, then they'll be eligible for this return to bonus. And we'll go through a couple examples real quick at the end of this, but know that anybody that isn't at their highest paid as rank, they could first of all hit the return to bonus, and then if there's eligible ranks that they haven't hit yet, they could get paid on the reach bonus as well. So the return is anybody that hadn't been at their highest paid as rank in January, February, March, and April. And same payouts here. For Pro 3, it's $2,500 or $2,000. I'm sorry. Pro 6 is $2,500, $2,500. Pro 5 is $1,000. Pro 4 is $500. Pro 3 is $2,500. And again, if you maintain that rank, at least that rank or higher, the month following when you return to it, you'll get paid a second time the exact same amount. The mentor bonus. I know a lot of you guys that are Pro 3 and higher, you're helping your team hit those ranks, and you have the opportunity for a one-time payout by helping other people. So Pro 6, you're going to earn half the money that the person that you helped advance that's directly enrolled by you. So they would get $2,500, you would get $1,250. Pro 5, they would get $1,000, you would get $500. Pro 4, they're getting 500, you get 250, and Pro 3, they get 250, you get 125. There is no maintenance part of this. It's a one-time payment, but you also have to have 500 in new sales volume. So you guys, share this, expose this, follow up with other people, build your business just like you're encouraging other people to do, and you'll be eligible for this mentor bonus as well. We'll go through a couple scenarios real quick. Steve Goodwin enrolled as a new distributor in March 2020 and advanced to Pro 2 in April. In May, he ranked advanced to Pro 3. June, he ranked advanced to Pro 4. And in July, he maintained Pro 4. So the dude's crushing it. March 2020, he advanced to Pro 2. Pro 2 in April. In May, he ranked advanced to 3. June 4, and then maintained in July. What's the payout? Well, he got the Pacesetter maintenance bonus in May for 100. Pacesetter Pro 3 reach bonus 350 in May. Then he maintained that and got that bonus in June, so another 350. Pro 4 reach bonus for hitting Pro 4 for the first time in June, 500, and then maintained that, got paid an additional 500 in July. That's $1,800 on top of everything else that we normally get paid on, you guys. Scenario number 2, Darren enrolls as a new distributor August 2015. Achieved the highest rank of Pro 5, but was paid as a Pro 4 since April of 2019. In May, he rank advanced to Pro 5 again, and in June, he rank advanced to Pro 6. In July, he maintained the rank. So how does that play out? Now, since his highest paid as rank was Pro 5, that's what he's trying to reach or return to for that return bonus. And he did that in May and got a $1,000 payout. In Pro 6, he had a new high rank achievement. So instead of return to rank bonus, he got the reach bonus of 2,500. And then he got the maintenance bonus for both June and July for Pro 5 and Pro 6, $1,000 and $2,500. You guys, this earned somebody $7,000 additional dollars on top of everything else. Scenario 3, a Pro 4 in 2020 that rank advanced to Pro 5 in May, maintained Pro 5 in June, and had 530 in PV and new sales volume in May. And then in June, had 340 in new sales volume. So not quite at that 500 minimum required for the mentor bonus. In May, he had 2 personally enrolled distributors rank advanced to Pro 3, 1 person personally enrolled that rank advanced to Pro 4 in June. So that earned him, you guys look at this, $2,250 additionally between the Pro 5 reach bonus that he got in May, the maintenance bonus that he got in June, and then helping other people rank advance in May. So if he would have had over 500 though in June, there would have been more money on the table. So keep that in mind as you're trying to reach for that mentor bonus. You yourself, you want to have a minimum of 500 in new volume, both in May and June. And then the last one, Dave enrolled in March 2020, rank advanced to Pro 2 in April. He rank advanced to Pro 6 in May. This dude's crushing it, and was paid as a Pro 5 in June. So he got the Pacesetter Pro 2 maintenance bonus in May, $100. Then he hit Pro 3, 4, 5, and 6 as newly achieved ranks, the reach bonus, 4,350 there, and then maintained at least the rank of Pro 5. So he got the Pro 3, 4, and 5 maintenance bonus in June, another $1,850, over $6,000 there, $6,300. And here's the cool thing with LifeVantage, you guys. You don't have to be the expert. So I went through a lot of information really quick. My biggest advice for you is to identify where you want to get in the months of May and June and work hand in hand with your upline to identify how you're going to get there and work the strategy out with them. There's tons of opportunity meetings that are going to be in place that you can simply plug people into, but that has to happen with you. And what I would not rely on is anybody in my upline ever to reach out to me to say, what are you going to do? Raise your hand and reach out to them and say, here's what I want to do. Okay, that will get you noticed really, really quick when you're reaching out to your upline and saying, I want to blow it up in the next 60, 90 days. How do I make it happen? Here's where I want to get. Will you roadmap it for me? So again, I know it's a ton of information. I love Stewie. The top of the top there, the kingpin just laid out, you know, some brilliant, brilliant stuff. Judy, we've gotten to know Judy over the years. She's an amazing, heart-driven woman that wants people to have success. And I'm very honored that I had the opportunity to present with you guys tonight. Know this, every single one of us, we're here to help you, and we want you to have the success that you dream of. Dream big. Don't let somebody else steal those dreams from you, because the only person that can allow that is you. Nobody else can allow anybody else to steal your dreams but you. So take that back and say, I am going to make a huge, significant change in 2020. I can use this as the springboard, this promotion the corporate team just gave us to launch everything. And you want to put in the work necessary to get there. So with that, I appreciate all of you. As always, we will have the recording sent out. Stu will get that sent out to everybody. Have an amazing, incredible week, and tear it up in May and June. And we can't wait to celebrate with you. And the last thing I'm going to say, if you have not already signed up for Global Convention, get signed up tonight. This should be over 10,000 people, I'm saying, because we haven't had that personal connection in a while here because of the circumstances that we find ourselves in. This should be the biggest, by far, event that LifeVantage ever has happened. Make the commitment to yourself. Get registered tonight if you haven't already done that, and get your team signed up as well. So with that, appreciate you guys. Have an amazing, amazing evening, amazing week, and we will talk soon. Take care.
Thank you, Sean. Good night.